Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're excited to have such interest in Google Drive and OneDrive. This is our life. My name is Morgan Whitman. I'm the transition coordinator with Agora Cyber Charter School. And obviously, with the Cyber Charter in the name of our organization, we're completely virtual. So we all work from our homes across the state. So staff members do, students do. So all of our information has to be virtual. So we had to get very good at this very quickly. I know that a lot of districts have taken on to being Google districts, but we knew that there was a need. We've had a lot of individuals ask us questions throughout the years about Google, so we thought, hey, let's come here and present on this. So I will let my co-presenters here introduce themselves as well.
Okay. So I'm the third one down, Amber, Brisbane, and I teach 11th and 12th grade transition courses at Agora.
Good morning. I'm Christine Thomas, and I'm the last one there, and I teach grades 9 and 10 transition.
Hi, I'm Whitney Bargerstock. I teach the life skills, our special services program, and multiple disabilities kids transition classes.
And we do have one more member of our team who apparently at the beginning of the conference was texting us pictures from the beach. So we also have a middle school transition teacher, but she apparently is having a little bit more fun than all of us at the beach and working on her tan. So we do have a very unique setup at Agora with the fact that we have invested. We have a transition department. There is a whole team of us. There are 5 of us. So we'll go into a little bit more detail of that going forward. But this was a while you were waiting. Sorry, we needed to get logged into everything, so it really wasn't a while you were waiting time. But we want everybody to either use the QR code up on the board or the tiny URL to complete this survey very quickly. So I'm going to leave this up so everyone has a chance to grab that link or the QR code. You can work on this while I keep giving you your learning objectives and a little bit more about our presenters. So yeah, it's tiny URL YYNNA8UA. And I will tell you that I renamed all the other tiny URLs going forward in the presentation. So it is a very, very short Google form, gives you a chance to fill out a Google survey. If you have never done that before, you may be living under a rock, I feel like, in this day and age, if you haven't filled out a Google form yet in your life. So many people have jumped on this free service. Okay, we're good? Hopefully. All you have to do is point your device at the QR code, and it'll immediately launch this survey for you. Good question. Why is it coming through in Chinese? Anybody else getting it in another language? Somebody want to go look at hers and see? Okay. Anybody else having issues with it? I have it up on another screen. We're going to go back and look at it. I think it's just asking you for your first name, last name, email address. That way we can send you something follow-up. iPhone cameras, it's in. You don't even have to do that. You just have to point it. You open up your camera, and the QR readers are now built in. So in case anybody didn't know that, if you have an iPhone, it's now built into your camera. You don't even have to do anything. You just open your camera, point it at the QR code. It'll give you a little launcher at the top, like a notification, and it'll send you right to the survey, in case you haven't used QR codes before. Sorry, should have given you that explanation. Yeah, so throughout the presentation, that's how it'll work. I'm not quite sure how it works with Android devices because I only have an iPhone. But yeah, iPad and iPhones, I believe Androids work similarly, that you can just open your camera and point it at a QR code, and it'll ask you to launch and open whatever it is. Okay. Good? Hopefully.
If you didn't get it, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
There will be others.
We're going to actually go over the results that come through. We won't share anybody's like terribly personal information. We didn't ask you for anything terribly personal, but we will show you in a few minutes how those responses look on our end as the creators of that survey. Okay, so our learning objectives for today, we really want you to leave today with a basic knowledge of Google Drive. If we have time, we will show how it compares to OneDrive. We're hoping we can get to that. We want you to be able to navigate these cloud-based systems. We want you to be able to state at least 3 ways to use cloud-based programs for transition planning, collaboration, and artifact collection for the career readiness PIMS requirement. And then we also would like you to be able to create your own cloud-based transition surveys and assessments. So we're going to give you a little bit of time to do that today. Okay, so again, about us, we as Agora are a PA public cyber charter school. We take all students that are interested in coming to us with all kinds of disabilities, with or without disabilities. And where most of our staff members and our students work from home. We have our transition team, which we have 4 master's level special education teachers. Their full-time job is teaching transition courses to our students in 7th through 12 plus grades. And then myself, I am the full-time transition coordinator, also master's level. Collectively, we have over 10 years of experience working in the transition field. We have about 61 to 6,200 students in our school. We average between a 29 and a 30% special education population. So that means that we usually have about 1,200 transition age students. So it's a lot of data to collect, a lot of things to keep track of, a lot of PIMS reporting requirements and all that fun stuff. So again, like I said, all of our staff and all of our students being across the entire state, we rely very, very heavily on cloud-based systems so that everybody has access to the information that they need. So we had to figure out very quickly, due to our model, how to maximize the online resources that we were given and also maximize things that are free. Because we all like free stuff, right? So that's why we really focused on Google. A few years ago, Agora decided to be a Google school. We've since kind of transitioned into being more Microsoft and OneDrive. So we'll kind of show you how they align. We still operate in both platforms because we haven't gone totally one way or the other yet. We won't give up on Google, but we're trying to dip our feet in the water over on OneDrive. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over.
Okay. Good morning, or is it? No, it's still morning, I guess, before lunch. We're standing between you and lunch, we're sorry. When I first came to Agora, I remember talking to somebody on the phone and they said, "How familiar are you with Google Drive?" And I said, not very, and there was silence on the other end of that phone. So I quickly learned all about Google Drive, and over the course of couple years, this is my 4th year at Agora, I became very good at it. Like she said, it is our lifeline. We work from home. It's my little buddy, the way I communicate with everybody. So why we chose it, the basics, the very basics of why we use it. It's simple. It's very user-friendly. I'm sure many of you are familiar with at least some of the Google apps out there. It's free. Free is for me, of course, and it houses all of our stuff in one place, which keeps our lives very organized. And as professionals, as parents, I'm sure many of us are parents in here, keeping ourselves together is a priority and very beneficial to our daily lives. So it's also shareable. When you create something in the Google Drive, you have the access to share it with anybody that you want. And you also have the ability to not share it with people. I know some of you out there are probably questioning security of placing all these things in Google. And so I think we get into that a little bit in the presentation, but being able to share your documents and your personal effects with others however you see fit is something that works in our favor. And so we are able to work all of what we house in Google, we're able to work from wherever we want to. Now, take that as you may. If you want to be able to work from home, if you want to take your work home with you and be able to access it anywhere, it's kind of something you have to decide. Not everybody wants to do that. But for us, it's very, very convenient.
Or from the beach.
Or from the beach.
There was a setting in this presentation, and Amber was at the beach, and I was like, hey, do you have access? So she pulled up her phone and was able to, unfortunately, log into work from the beach and change a setting for me.
So again, that's a personal decision. You know, we don't all want to be able to do that, but you can if you want to through Google. And so these are the three kind of ways that we use it. Collaboration, of course, it's in the title of our presentation today. We can work together from anywhere and with anybody. And so if you are in a setting where you work with teams, if you're on a council and you work with your team members, students, parents, you can work with just about anybody from anywhere. And just like we work virtually, we're in every part of the state. Just us four here. We are across the state, yet we can work on the same document at the same time, collaborate with each other if we want to. And so the good thing is about collaboration is that second bullet point there. You can view in real time. So if you're thinking, if your brain is kind of like processing all this and thinking how you could use it with your students, if there's teachers out here or coordinators, you can view work in real time, which is something we use often. So there's something you want to work on with a student, let's say just a simple document, a project, maybe a PowerPoint, and you want to be able to see what they're doing and work with them on the same exact document. You can do that. And that's extremely beneficial to us and across all platforms, I believe. So you can also share your data. This one is big for IEP inputs. I've found just from talking to other professionals, IEP input seems to be, we're always trying to improve how we get IEP inputs from teachers and other staff in the school system. Google can be a huge resource for that because you can share your data about your students, about programming that you're working on through the use of Google. And then, of course, student work. I want to throw into student work the skills that this also teaches. So talking about transition and transitioning into maybe higher ed or whatever their path is, using a program like this can teach them organizational skills, which is very important in the higher ed setting. And so being able to have everything that a student has done in the Google Drive, being able to kind of just keep yourself organized that way is a good skill for them to learn while in high school that they can transfer over into the higher ed setting. So along with working and collaborating with them on assignments, it can also teach a lot of those soft skills that they're going to need when they leave us after high school. And I am going to pass it on.
Awesome. All right, and actually, piggybacking on what Amber said a moment ago, when it comes to real time, it really is, it feels like, say for instance, it was a homework assignment and really truly you see exactly what they're doing, so you can actually go in immediately and talk to them about what mistakes they're doing, and it truly is a portable type of situation that they can use no matter if it's trade school, workforce, it does not matter. So, but anyways, other things above and beyond, and some things you've actually seen in other sessions that you've been to, your policies and procedures. So again, keeping everything nice, clear, organized, your curriculum, training videos, lesson plans, everything in totality. You cannot imagine how hard it is when we have a school like we do that's so big and looking for one document, that to be able to go to one place and find absolutely everything that you can possibly imagine. And for that reason alone, Google has definitely been all of our friends. Yes. With that in mind.
How many of you use this QR code? Did you guys try this? And how you got there and all the presentations you didn't go to, all the documents were there? That is our life. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. As soon as we got there, it was really great. So with that in mind, actually, hold on one second. I had one quick question, because as we were coming up, we had to all sign in, and all of us either had to do the QR code or the tiny URL. So by show of hands, how many of you use the QR code? This is just show of hands. Okay, thank you. Keep them up. Keep them up. All right, so put them down. All right, so how, obviously the rest of you use the tiny URL, so about 50-50. So I was curious to see how, we all have our easy ways of doing things, and which one's easy for this person, what one's easy for that person. So enough talking. Are you ready for the showing?
We're doing the showing. So I will let this up on the screen here in case you haven't. There's another QR code. So same thing. This is going to take you to our Google Drive that we're going to be working in for pretty much the remainder of this presentation. So it wasn't so important if you didn't fill out the survey first, but it's pretty important if you want to participate for the next half an hour if you use this one. So the tiny URL, it's HTTPS, and then you have your //tinyurl.com/tranconf demo. So TRANCONF demo, DEMO. Either way, that should bring you into a Google folder. There you go. Just going to put it up there just in case. So. Okay. Anybody having issues getting into the Google Drive? You don't have to do anything in the drive. We just want it open, and then we'll all be working in the drive at the same time, so you get a chance to see what it looks like to have, I don't know, we had 41 people signed up, so around 40 people all working in the same place at the same time. We have crashed certain systems at our school, having everyone log in at the same time. We haven't succeeded in crashing Google yet, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that holds true in our presentation. We all know how finicky tech can be. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and escape out of the presentation. Okay, hopefully, oh, that's still a little tiny, isn't it? Okay, I want to make sure that you're able to see all the buttons in there. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Is that a little? Oh, yeah, but we're not allowed to mess with the projector. Oh, we had a tech guy here, but this is what you get. It's a huge screen and a tiny projector. Everyone, it's a huge screen and a tiny projector. Yeah, we do our PD here, and we run into the same thing, too, because you can't get the projector back really any further to make it bigger, and they don't have one of their little drop-downs. All right, so let's just, how about that? That looks a little better. Okay, so this is not the drive that you guys should all be looking at. Yours should have one document in it, but this is, I wanted to give you a look at when I say my life is in the Google Drive, this is true. You can see up there that my storage is showing 8.7 gigabytes used. That's a lot. If you scroll down, Like if I come over here and I scroll down, these are just files after files after files. These are all folders full of stuff that I actually have access to. You also have a whole other list over here that says shared with me. So there's other things that if you don't add it to your drive, but other people have given you sharing rights to, you can also see and get to. So this is where the folder for today is housed. But I wanted to, before we dive too deep into it, I wanted to kind of show you what our actual Agora special education shared folder looks like. You can see I have it starred. It's right at the top. I don't know that a day goes by that we aren't in this folder for some reason or another, but this is really where everything is. So this was created by our director of special education, and then we just constantly are building folders and putting things in here. So you can see we have general information, we have information about assistive technology. So this is really like our hub as a school for anything that you would ever want or need to know about how to function in the special education department. So I will show you our transition folder, and I man this one. We have a separate training folder for transition as well, but this is just transition in general. So this has our matrix, a cheat sheet of activities, how we have our career interest surveys set up, resources that go along with how to interpret our surveys, our current skills assessment, which you'll get a taste of in a little bit, and then it just goes down from there. This is also where we house the folder for our transition course documents that will count as artifacts. So, at least for right now. They might move it, but I don't know, all kinds of random stuff. But we can come here to transition course student documents. I'm sure this is what everyone wants to see. So we have a running record now. We've been running our transition courses as actual credit courses within the school for 3 years. So all of the documents that we have collected as a transition team through those courses have been taken out of our online school system, and we wanted to house them somewhere so we didn't lose them when the course is closed out. So we have everything in here that students have created from the 16-17, 17-18, 18-19 school years. So you can see that everyone in special education has access to these documents, and they can go in and search for their student and find everything that has been collected by our transition team. Okay, so any questions on everyone starting to see the potential, if you haven't already, on how far this can go? I mean, these folders go into folders, into folders, into folders. Yeah.
If you create a document or a sheet or something, can you attach a QR code to it?
So that links right to?
So like if I wanted to go back to the one that you just shared, but I didn't save it or whatever, how can I go back? Like if I do that, I can get it?
Yeah, all of our anything that we access here in our presentation, this specific one, you're not going to get what I'm showing you right now because that's our actual school drive. Can't give you access to that. There's some, trade secrets or whatever in there. But yeah, all of the other QR codes that we have out there, all the tiny URLs, our presentation is uploaded to the main one. So if you use your QR code on the front of your packet and go into our presentation, all of those links and QR codes are in there.
If I wanted to share a document I made, like on a presentation, can I put a QR code on?
Yes, and QR codes are completely free. That's all I did. You just put QR code generator into like Google and it'll bring that up. And in order to do that, say, let me create the document and then I can show you how to go one step further. But yes, it's very, very easy. When we say it's shareable, it's very easy to get that shareable link, and then that is what you're going to use to create the QR code. So, and it can be a document, it can be a folder. As long as it's in Google, you can get a shareable link. Yep. Okay, so before we dive too far into those, I want to show you guys, where where did it pop up? I think it popped up as Edge. For some reason, it popped up in a different window. But this is, there were 44 of you, so thank you to the 44 of you that completed the survey. We can very quickly see that. This is our kind of administrator, the creator view of that original form. When you open it back up from our view, you can see where the questions were. And these were the simple questions we had you ask with some basic directions that were put in there. And then we have the responses. And you can see them either as a summary, where all of the questions are lumped together, or you can see them individual. So the first person, you can actually go down through and see what her responses are. And then the secret to Google is these little dots. That's pretty much the secret to everything. But you can click on here and you can see to either print or download all of your responses, but you can actually export it here, download it as a .csv, and open it up in Excel. And you can save it as an Excel document. It's much easier to filter doing it that way. But you can get all of the information and it will sort it out in a beautiful, clear spreadsheet for you. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw how those responses came through before we dive into this further.
Show them how it'll populate a spreadsheet right into your Google folder.
No, but we can then if you want to. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll go into the folder that we're looking in.
Whenever I go over the form creation, I
Okay,
can show you.
perfect. All right,
If you
let me go.
delete the responses, then you could use it again.
You don't even have to do that. You can actually copy your survey, and that's something that we're going to go into Google Form in depth by the end. You can see in the folder that you open, there's a direction on how to create a Google Form. Google Forms, once you have them, you can save that information, but you can create a copy, and then you just slightly change the name, add a date, add version 2, add whatever, but you can always repopulate. So these guys will create one. And they can create one for each of their classes. It's all the same one, but they can have a different one for each class to segregate the data if they want to or whatever. But yeah, once you have one created, it's very, very simple. It's a matter of right-clicking and hitting copy, and it'll create a new one for you. And then you can also change the sharing rights. So say you want to share it with one set of people and you want to create another copy and share it with a different set of people. Very easy to do that as well. All right. Okay, so here's the Transitions Conference 2019 demo folder that should be in there. Okay, so everybody, right now this folder is set up so anybody with the link, either through the tiny URL or the QR code, has access to edit in here. So it is just this folder. You can see that Karen, it already tells you who did it, but took the PDF and turned it and opened it, is pretty much what happened. She opened it as a Google Doc. So it created another Google Doc in this folder. So you can either see the Google Doc version or the PDF version. You can see who created that. It normally will give you dates as to when these things are created too. So there they are. So we will, what I'm going to do is show what it looks like to have multiple people working in a document. So I figure rather than pre-create it, I was just going to do that here.
Before you do that, so go ahead. When you are simultaneously working in a document together, you will be labeled as some type of anonymous animal.
Unless you're signed in. If you have a Google account and you signed into your Google account, your name will show up. So if you're a Google school and you all have your own accounts and you're signed in, it'll show up as Morgan Witman. I'm the one that's editing because you guys are in, and if you're not signed in as Google, you might end up as anonymous iguana, anonymous armadillo. Like, it'll be fun as we get into this.
Just know that we are not assigning you animals. So if you get something like anonymous sloth or something, we didn't give you that.
We didn't
Google's
pick that
giving
you're
you
the sloth, the turtle, the lemur, the
I
whatever.
just wanted to throw that out there before we started.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yes. So we are not doing that. Google is doing that. So if some of you show up with a name, it's probably because whatever device you're using on, you're signed into your Google account through something. Anybody else, you're just going to end up as anonymous. Okay. So what I did here to create this document that we're all going to work in, I just clicked on the new button. So in that, let me click off it. So you can see there's a big old new button here. I just click on that and it gives you all these options of new things that you can create. So in order to create a new blank Google document that we're all going to be able to say hello to each other in, just going to go down to Google Docs and click on it. Because we're creating a document in a shared folder. So this entire folder is shared. Anything we put in it is going to be shared with everybody who has these rights. It warns you. So it always warns you that whatever document you create is going to have the same sharing privileges as the folder that you've put it in.
Oh, wait.
Hold on. Sorry, we're recording, so you have to be on the microphone. Keep reminding me of that, too.
You can also repeat the question,
Yeah.
too. He has it up there.
I'm confused. I did the QR code for this, and this is what it brought up. So should I be on a Google Drive or not this? This was the QR code and this is what brought up. It didn't bring up like you're on Google Drive, that you can actually do it. It just brought up this. That's what this QR code brought. So I'm confused because it sounds like we're supposed to be following along with her and doing it, and it's not doing it.
For the sake
I don't know. Amber, you want to work on that while I keep going?
But apparently other
Okay.
people are having the same problem.
some people are in it and some people aren't, it looks like.
I don't know. Then I would suggest to use the tiny URL. It's up here. So tinyurl.com/TRAN, so Tran Conf Demo.
So if you weren't in the Google Drive, which we have projected, try the tiny URL instead of the QR and see what happens.
Here, I can bring that back up for a second.
Rather than what we were. Try the tiny URL link and see if it brings up what we were projecting on our screen, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, you guys don't want to type in the actual Google folder link. Yes? No? Okay. Because you can see out there at the top, if you type in what's at the top of the screen there, really teeny, teeny, tiny and gray, that's a bazillion letters long, that will bring you to where you are. So, I know. Okay, so, are you guys into it?
They're trying.
I'm like, I know some people are in it because I can see people like doing things in here.
That folder for the conference,
Yes. It's not supposed to have this up yet. Let me cancel out of here.
Yeah, that's
That you're in the right place. It's in a folder. The folder should have this stuff now.
Yep.
Anyone else need help so we can rotate? We still got another person to try to help out. Oh, that there. Amber's right there. Amber's gonna get you in. What?
Yes. Yep, you're good. Keep refreshing your browser and they will pop up.
Yeah, it's a good thing there's 4 of us, right? Well, that's why we went into like divide and conquer and make sure everyone was like into everything. We're good?
We had another
Oh,
question.
sorry. The question was that it didn't look like this. I have mine set up in a list. It may also be blocks. So if you have your view set up to be icons, it will give you little blocks of these rather than the list. It's just a preference of mine. Like some people like them as tiles, some people like them as a list. I prefer the list because then I can see the full document title and the owner and all that stuff. But these are the documents that are in there.
So she's going to create another.
Okay, so I'm going to create a document and then have you guys go into it. But I want to show you how to create that document.
There was a question that I just want to go over.
Sure.
If you don't see 4 items in the drive, just keep refreshing your browser. And I'm not standing where I'm supposed to be standing. I'm sorry. Just keep refreshing your browser. and eventually all of them will pop up for you.
Okay, so refresh if you're on a computer is just that little reload this page and things will pop up. The next time you do something in the drive, it will automatically refresh for you. But okay, so let's go back to where we click new and we click on Google Doc to create that doc. And then it's giving us this warning that we're going to be sharing it with everybody who's sharing this folder. So we want to, yes, create and share. Okay, that'll create our document up here. And we are going to just call it, I'm going to call it Welcome, Everyone. And then we're going to go into this document, and you can do whatever. You can just say hello to everyone. So I'm going to hit, my name is Morgan, and I'll be like, hi. So what this will do is this should now show up when we flip.
Go back. No, go back to it. You can see their names in the corner.
Yeah, I am going to go back. But I just wanted you, in case you didn't go into the hello everyone, this is what you should now be seeing. Either in tile or list format, you should see the welcome everyone document is now in there. It's created. You want to click on that. It'll bring you into this document, and then you can start see, look at all the beautiful little animals up here. Somebody's an anonymous llama and an octopus. Oh, a kraken. That's my dog's name. I have a Harlequin Great Dane. His name is Kraken. So that's fun. So you can see anonymous gopher. There you go, a chinchilla.
Highlights while you type, so you can see who is typing while they type.
Okay. So you can see that there are some issues when you try to have 40 people typing in a document at the same time. It's easier in a spreadsheet, but you see the little color like marker where the person's about to type, so you don't type where the same person is. But you can see we are all in this room, all working in the same one document. So even if we weren't in this room, if we were across the state of Pennsylvania, if we were across the world, somebody goes on, wants to take a road trip over to Europe, you could still be working and accessing your same documents here. So this is why this feature is huge, because it's great for, international or any kind of distance collaboration. And again, it's totally free. All you have to do, even if you're not a Google school, all you have to do is set up a free Google account, gets you a free Gmail address, gets you access to Google Hangouts. Okay. Anybody have any issues with this step?
I don't have an issue, I have a question. Oh, wait.
Hold on. I'll just repeat it back. Go ahead.
Okay.
If you're just using it with students for you to collect their information, they don't need to have an account. They don't need to have anything. They just need to have a device, just like you guys did. So we didn't make any of you create an account. If you already have one, great. You might have signed in with your name, but for students, we don't make our students have an account. 1 year when we were an official Google school, all of our students had accounts, which was wonderful, because then we wouldn't have anonymous cheetah being the one that was putting information in. We could track the editing history by their actual names, but for students, they don't need to have any access except for a device with internet, and they can get in and work. Any other questions? Okay, so with that, let's go back over here to this one. And what I'm going to do is allow you guys the next maybe 5 minutes or so to play around in here and create your own documents. But so we don't put everything like all in one place, I want you to try to create your own folder. So to create your folder, it's the exact same as what we just did with creating a document. So the first thing up there is you click new, you go to folder. Okay, I'm gonna hit folder. And then it's gonna allow me to do this. So I'm just gonna type in my name so that it's mine if you wanna use your own, or your now anonymous cheetah or chinchilla, whatever. But create your own folder. And then you're going to go into that folder. And then we would like you to create 2 documents in that folder. So you can try creating a Google Sheet, which is the equivalent of an Excel document. You can try Slides. Google Slides is their equivalent of PowerPoint. A Google document is just like a Word doc. One of the 2 documents that you're creating in this folder, we would like to be a Google form, so that you can try out this survey potential, because we are going to wrap up our presentation by talking a little bit more about Google Forms, because that's the main thing that we use for transition assessments in collecting the transition data from our students. So we would like you to try that. So there is a PDF and several other files in there now, but there's how to create a Google form. So I am just going to be quiet, and we are going to circulate the room, and we're going to give you guys, like I said, about 5 minutes to just mess around in Google and create these forms. And I can actually pull this one back up again if you want to see the example of how we created this one. So when you create a form, you just have to title it. You can put in directions underneath, and then you can create different questions and different types of questions. These are all in the directions, but that's why we want you in there just messing around. And we knew this was going to be just like a wet your whistle presentation with only an hour. So in order to add questions, you can move them around, you can make them required, you can do short answer, long answer, Likert scale, multiple choice, check boxes, add pictures. We're going to go into how you add pictures. Yep. We just wanted to give you guys a few minutes to try to do that, but then we're actually going to have you try out a sample of one of our current skills assessments that we use with our special services students. Okay, great. So hopefully they give you a few minutes to experiment a little bit. If it's not working for you, like I said, we will hang out for a few minutes after the presentation. Come in, ask us. We're also going to give you our contact information at the end. If you want to learn a little more, like we are not Google certified experts per se, but we went through the school of hard knocks, as I heard in one of the other presentations, that we learned this by having our hands in it on a daily basis, and we just fight to make it do what we want it to do. Like, we're not touching on Google Classrooms, which is also another amazing opportunity through here, but again, with an hour, there's only so much. We wanted to make sure you got into Google, got a little taste of it, knew how to create things. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to very, very briefly bring up how to share, because that was a question. Actually, I might just go to this one and show you. So once it's in here and you have your form created, again, you're going to the dots are great. This is how you do all kinds of stuff. But this is how you do your settings and decide who you're going to, how you're going to restrict it, if you want to collect email addresses, if you want to do all this stuff, whatever. All the settings are in there. But to send, here's how we get our shareable link. So again, it's a bazillion letters long. You don't probably want to do that. You can shorten it if you want. But you can also just take and copy this and put it into a QR code generator or tinyURL. Those are both free. And then you get a very easy way for the person to access. Or you can just email this link out to your students, however you want to do it. If you want to share a document, let me come back down here. Documents always get put down to the bottom. So if I wanted to share just this document right here, could open it up, and I could come over here to my dots, and I could share. And that would not be sharing my whole folder. That would be sharing just this PDF, and I can determine how the link will work. Can the person edit it? Can they just view it? getting a shareable link here. You can actually email it directly to people, but it's very, very simple to hop in there and decide how you want to share it. So again, if you want to send it to your students and you don't want them in there manhandling whatever you've created, you just want them to get a copy of it, don't allow them to edit it. Allow them to just go in view mode. If you want them in a document all working at the same time editing, then obviously you've got to give them that privilege. Yes?
If I send a link to someone, then do I still have to list the people that are allowed in it? Or is that automatic when they click the link?
The question was, do you have to add the people if you're sending them the link? If you want them to always have access to it and add them as like collaborators in the document, then you would want to add their names on it. If you just want everyone to have a link like we did here with you, then it's not going to automatically add their names. So if you're working within an organization, it'll have all those names in there again. So if I would go back to our special ed drive and pull up something like this, it would have a boatload of names listed there that have access to it, that have been able to add it to their drive. You can still send the link to somebody and they can add it to their drive, but their name won't necessarily show up in here.
Will they be able to edit it?
If you give them the editing privileges, yes. So right now you guys are editing in this drive, and I don't have any names in here because I didn't know who all was coming. So you guys are just all anonymous animals. Yes.
How do you handle security?
The question was, how do you handle security? In what capacity? I mean, a lot of schools are nervous about security.
If you have student information and stuff in those documents, how do you ensure that nobody's going to be able to get into any of those documents?
That's how you have to be very careful with your sharing privileges. So it was, the question was, how do you make sure that only people that are supposed to see secure information are seeing that? So you have to make sure that it's only shared with those individuals. So we have, for example, a leadership folder at our high school where only our high school administrators can access that information. So that's where we're going to put more secure stuff. But there is a concern about Google. That's actually one of the slides that we're hopefully going to be able to get to. Microsoft is supposedly to be more secure than Google, but Google has an education platform, and Google is free. So there's, it's hit or miss, and it's up to your school. So obviously make sure with your administrators, if you're working within a school, that they're in agreement with allowing information to be out there. We don't put a whole lot of confidential information on Google. The information in the transition assessments that we're collecting from our students, I mean, it's not their social security numbers. It's not, it's basic information. So yes, it's their private information, but it's not gonna, really impact their life if somebody finds out they want to be a police officer or something. Yes.
File is shared outside of the owner, like if Morgan created something and she shared it, and then somebody else forwards me that, I'll get a message that says access denied, and you have to request permission from the owner.
Yeah.
Another way to
Absolutely. So that what she was saying is if you have access to it and you're not the owner of the folder and you forward that link to somebody else, they cannot access the information. They will get a prompt that says access denied, request access to this folder, and then the owner will get a message to be able to provide access or not. And sometimes you have that happen, like if you have a personal Gmail account and you have a work Gmail account, and you're accidentally logged into one and it's linked to another. Like we have that happen a lot with our Microsoft accounts because we have multiple accounts within the school even. So it is very secure in that factor. It's only who you've given permission to that can really see in that folder. It would be very rare that we would create a folder like I did for this session today that just was like, hey, everybody, here's a public link. Go do what you want and edit everything. And, have free reign over this folder. That never happens. So except for a training experience like this where I want you all in here messing around. But most of this stuff will go and be deleted. So whatever you created in your folder, sorry. I'll give you a little bit of time to steal it out of there if you want to, but I'm probably going to be deleting this folder because I don't like to have that hanging out there either. Okay, so come back here. I don't want to start from the beginning. I know there's like a way to do it. Is it down here? There.
What are you trying to do? It's up.
Yeah. I just had to find the button. There you
It's
go.
up already before that. So we talked about Google Forms a little bit. We collect a lot of data from our kids. As transition teachers, as transition coordinators, we're punching data into those IEPs like crazy, and we're getting hammered about it, and you're building on it each year. One of the things we have done is taken a current skills assessment, is what we call it. There's a 9th grade version, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. There's middle school versions. And each year, that assessment builds and adds a list of skills that can the student do it, can they do it with help, or can they not do it at all? So as transition teachers, we're collecting that data. And it was a Word form, and case managers would go through and they would answer the questions with the kids. Well, with life skills kids, that's not an option. It's too difficult, it's too challenging. So we took the form and we broke it down into 4 different components, smaller chunks, so they could get small lists of questions at a time. Each question has the ability to have 3 multiple choice answers. And we can add pictures in. So my life skills kids can take the same assessment that Amber's 11th and 12th grade higher functioning learning support kids are taking. So I'm getting the same data. You can elaborate on questions. You can break the questions down a little bit more, where some of their questions may have to do with security and safety. My questions will say, do you know what to do if you come home and there's a door open and no one's around? Do you know what to do if something breaks? Yes, with help, or not yet. So we give this current skills assessment to the kids, and that data is put into every IEP we write. And like you saw earlier, Morgan had told you that all that data is collected into a spreadsheet. And then once that form is created, it can be copied, and you have a new version for next year's 9th graders. And then it can be copied again, you have a new version for the following year's 9th graders. And all that data is stored right in the drive. It's really convenient. So we do not have time to create a Google form, so I'm going to skip this one. And
That's not creating. That's having them take your assessment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is how you actually take the current skills assessment. If you want to take a picture of that Google, of that QR code real quick, you'll see what I'm talking about a sample version of this current skills assessment. These questions we're asking the kids in different topics like independent living skills, home skills, workplace skills, community skills. Got all 4. There's 4 areas that we focus in. And like I said, like the 7th grade version has a short list of questions. 8th grade has a few more added on. 9th grade, the whole way up to 12th grade, where we're covering really important topics. And you need to have data to support whether or not those kids know how to do those things. So that's the QR code. And I'm going to show you what happens when they fill the form out. You can actually open it up as a spreadsheet. And this is what you will see. So once the kids take an assessment, this was an assessment for my life skills kids they took. And what I had them answer was, it told me the exact moment they took the assessment. It gave me who their case managing teacher was. They had to pick a choice, so I knew who that data needed to go to. And then some basic questions, how they answered it. It's all right there. And I have separate forms for each grade, so it's broken down. That data is always in this nice, neat spreadsheet to go back to. So when you take it again at the end of the year, you can see if that kid has learned something in your transition class. Have they built some of those skills up from the beginning of the year? So the results in the spreadsheet are really, really nice. Now, Google Form pros and cons. So it's very simple. You have a fresh new form just by copying it each year. You have a constant log of data with timestamps. So if a kid tells you they did it 3 days ago, you know exactly when they did it. Once you make it, you always have it. It's time consuming to create all these forms, but once you've done it, it's there. You're just copying it and you're reusing it. And that has literally been my mantra this whole first year of having life skills transition classes. Once you make it, you always have it. Sharing with coworkers is super easy. You can share this data, they can see it. You can, if somebody accidentally deletes something, you can go back in the history and see older versions of the form. So it's not gone forever. It's a mini heart attack until you realize that you can go back to an older version and see it's still there. Some of the cons is, yes, things can be deleted. If you have a regular deleter, give them view-only permissions. You don't want to be dealing with that all the time. You can edit the permissions in the form, like this specific form itself, so that kids can only view it. They can't edit or change it. Spreadsheets are a little bit more difficult to filter. You can't filter in the spreadsheet that populates in the Google Drive quite as easy as like if you download it and open it up in Excel. You just have to get creative in how to maneuver the data in the form so that it populates to a spreadsheet that's manageable for you. But it is best when students have a Google account. It's not required, but it is beneficial. So if you're creating an individual portfolio and an individual folder for a student, for them to have their own access, their own link, where they're the only one doing it, and to send singular links out to kids, they have their own Google account. It's much easier. And then they have their own drive, and then it just simplifies things. You can get around it. They don't have to have it, but it definitely makes things much easier. We are out of time.
We are. Let me very quickly just go over. Oh, no, it's doing something crazy. Okay, so just in case you are not a Google school and you're interested in OneDrive, it works very, very similarly. But you do have to have a paid account with OneDrive. It is also available on all devices. The nice thing about OneDrive is it keeps all of your documents in Microsoft format. So you know how I said PowerPoint turns into slides? Sometimes when you take slides and turn it back into PowerPoint, it doesn't, it's a little wonky. So the nice thing about OneDrive is it does keep everything Microsoft. And for the security question here, I said I was going to get to it. Our IT personnel really feel that OneDrive is more secure. And apparently out in the IT world, that's what they are feeling, that OneDrive is more secure. It is a little harder to share the links with people and keep them working. Lisa can attest to that. We share a drive through the PA Council on Cyber Transition. I'm the chair. I share links with all OVR and Patton and all these other. And if you got the email and you're in that email and the link, but don't try saving it to your own, because you won't be able to go back and get it. You can only get the link from email. It's much harder to share. But I think that's why it's more secure, too, in doing that. And then, again, Google's free. It does offer classrooms. It also offers Hangouts. Hangouts is kind of like a face-to-face instant messaging type thing that's free with your account as well, which OneDrive does not have. And then if you have Microsoft, you will also have Teams. One of the folders within your OneDrive will be all of the files that are shared within Teams. So our team of 5, we meet and we do all of our PLC meetings in Teams. We share documents. We actually created the PowerPoint for today's session in Teams, all working in there because we could see it in real time. And it links directly to our OneDrive. So that's pretty neat as well if you are a Microsoft school and you haven't experimented with this. So there's all of our contact information. Sorry to keep you 2 minutes over and keep you away from lunch. Maybe the lines won't be quite as bad when you get down there. But again, reach out to us if you have any questions. Hopefully you got at least, have dipped your toes in the water now of Google Drive. And thank you so much for attending. If you want the session code, you need to stay and listen to our wonderful moderator
All right.
here.
Thank you, ladies.